Thank you so much for your comments this morning. I'm afraid I'm having a late start because I was messing around with my bank for about an hour, and I, I'm simply, I'm still so terribly upset. When the bank don't pay something and then send an automated message about 2 days later in some sort of desultory fashion to find out whether or not I made the attempted transaction. And then when one tries to find out what is going on, you can't get through to anybody. And the tone adopted by the bank is so patronizing. And, all these sort of banking telephone numbers that you key in for security, and you still get asked, you still get told that they're going to send you a one-time security code and what's your name, what's your date of birth. What is the point of all this? It's to change the tone of the conversation so that the customer is always begging for help rather than expecting the service that they should be getting. If you can't rely on the bank, and if the bank takes up another hour of your time in the morning, what is the point of having having that service? There is no point. And I don't know why these people do it. I don't know why the banks do it. But it's not an unusual experience, really. I suppose one should be getting immune to it. But I find it so difficult. Anyway, to do with Tommy Robinson, Lolly9080 says, if it's him now, it could be you and me next in the future, or anyone. And that's the point. You're so right. Coincidentally, his successful march may have something to do with it. Yes, he has done his time, and he did solitary confinement like Assange, who, by the way, you can imagine the suffering that he had in confinement long term. Absolutely. I also think of people like Alexei Navalny. And it doesn't matter whether you're on one side of the political divide or the other, left wing, right wing. It doesn't matter. The problem that we have in the UK is a legal system which seems to have been politicized, and and even then, the government of the day doesn't like what it says and then challenges it and makes its own laws to say that the Supreme Court is wrong. So if the government can overrule the courts, if the governments can have the courts toadying to their demands, we're not in a free society. We're in a society that is veering off to something very dark indeed. And we have to call it out. So it doesn't matter whether you like Tommy Robinson or not. It doesn't matter whether you like Julian Assange. What's happening to them is wrong. And Snowden is another example. And equally, the whistleblowers in the NHS. And we have to do something about this. We have to approach this philosophically rather than, and dispassionately, rather than in terms of which team we're on. This team playing, I'm with Team Assange, I'm with Team Tommy Robinson. I like this group, I like that group. I like Rwanda. It reminds me, I did a little song a while ago about Suella Braverman. I love Rwanda, my dream is coming so fast, or something. My propaganda will soon compel migrants who drift across the bay. I can't remember what all the words were now, but I remember doing a little song for Suella Braverman. And it's the same thing. Again, you may not like the Rwanda policies of Suella Braverman. You may not like those 3 laws that Suella Braverman championed, the illegal migration, the Nationality and Borders Act and the Rwanda Act, those three, which are effectively to impose restrictions and to change the law in Britain to defy international law. You may not like that, but you have to stop and say, how can someone in Rwanda accept that the British government is defining Rwanda, their country, as a deterrent, as something which is to be feared, and the worst place on earth to be sent to? That is not a reputation that any country should be given, and certainly not by a first world country like Britain. It's patronising, it's wrong, and it sets a precedent which is utterly unacceptable. So these are philosophical questions rather than team questions. They're philosophical questions, and I think that's something maybe I've not made very clear in the past. And I know people like Maya Tusi say that I'm a liberal academic, which I suppose I am, but it's the academic bit which I'm interested in, and that needs to be approached. One needs to approach these issues with a certain amount of intellectual rigor rather than with bias.